That's a tough act to follow. I mean, Jeff is a tough act to follow, or Joe, but the other guy. So I figured I'd break the ice if it hasn't already been broken. It's a little bit of ukulele. For those of you that are ukulele snobs, ukulele, sorry. This song is called Sorry We're Not a Bakery, we're actually a clothing store, but our clothes are pretty great, so please stop complaining about not having cake in the store because frosting gets on clothing anyway, so we're working on it. My sister just moved here from Texas, and she's really cute and has purple hair and is the pastry chef, so just give me a minute. Actually, it's not called that at all. I just wanted to say that. Hope I didn't just break that. There are beards that reach your toes, and some that grow right up your nose. There are beards that I forgot the words about, but I think I like yours most of all. Some are big and some are small. Some men don't have beards at all. My grandma had one, I recall. But ladies' beards aren't beautiful. I mean, they could wax that, right? Like, there's so many things nowadays, like sugaring, it's organic. It would help if I knew the words to the second verse. Just the sight of a beard can cure a frown. A naked chin just leaves me feeling down. If your beard was mine to kiss, I just don't think I could resist. I think I love your beard the most. And yours too, it's not that bad, it's getting there. All great men have been revered, have facial hair from ear to ear. And even though it's hard to hear, I think I only love you for your beard. That would be the end, but I don't really love a guy with a beard. Okay, so clearly I just learned that song this morning. But thanks for bearing with me. I'm going to come out here if that's okay. I thought the song would be appropriate because I have the shop down the street on the corner, the Yellowcake store. And I noticed quite a few more bearded men than most. So I figured there were a lot of you guys that could relate. And if you don't have a beard, don't feel bad. But just so you know, ladies like the beards. So my name is Valerie. I'm from Texas originally. I've lived in Cleveland for a little over 12 years. So yeah, I love Cleveland. A lot of people ask me why I would leave Texas for the Midwest and snow and all the goodness that's here. But people just don't know how great Cleveland is, not until they live here. Texas is great. I do like it. But it's really hard to be healthy there. Everything is fried and filled with cheese and like 10 times the size it should be. And it's so hot. And my hair never looks good with the humidity. But yeah, I moved here not ever anticipating that I would, A, be on a reality show, B, own my own business, or C, stay here for 12 years. And so I've been pleasantly surprised and very fortunate. But it's not been without hard work and trial and sadness and more hard work and sacrifice and not getting to have fun all the time and eating really bad and then trying really hard to work out all the time, and then it's a lot. And I'm guessing that a lot of you in the audience too know what it's like to run your own small business. It's not unlike having a child, but for all you parents out there, I am not in any way comparing myself to being a parent, because I have a small taste of how hard that is. I was a nanny for 9 years for a family of 8, so I have a little bit of an idea. But just to cut to the chase for Project Runway people, if you don't know much about the show, I usually always tell people it's basically like fashion camp prison, and everybody gains weight, you can't poop when you want, and everybody loses but one. So that's the gist of it. That's Tim Gunn, and yes, he really is as nice as he seems. Heidi Klum really is that pretty, and it really is as difficult as it seems, if not 100% harder. So that's Casanova. If you guys didn't watch my season, we had to create a piece based on a garment from our neighbor, and he pulled out a pair of $1,300 Dolce & Gabbana pants. And I told him not to, but he's Puerto Rican and stubborn, so. That's my dad. And apparently, when you immigrate to this country from another country, they give you a pair of hot pants. It's like the uniform. Clearly, it runs in the family. So, everything I learned about being a businesswoman, I didn't go to school for it. I went to art school, and for all you guys that went to art school know they teach you jack shit about business. But I learned a lot from my dad. I had to lay, he's a home builder in Texas, and I had to lay sod and varnish wood and sweep sawdust and help frame ever since I was old enough to hold a hammer. So the cool thing is that I can wield power tools better than some guys I know. Yeah, so my dad taught me a lot about how to be a shrewd business owner, but also a compassionate business owner. And for that, I'm very thankful. There's some people that always, I think a lot of left-brainers and right-brainers have a hard time combining creative with the business and business with creative. So that's a really difficult thing to do. And I've been fortunate that I've been able to fake it and make some kind of success out of it. And when I say success, I don't mean like, I don't own a Bentley, I have a Honda Element that's used, and I live in a house with 4 other people down the street from Stone Mad, and I pay my bills just like everyone else, like just barely on time. And I still owe a lot of money to Sally Mae, so yeah, I avoid those phone calls often. But by success, I mean that I'm able to do what I love every day, and sometimes it's really hard, sometimes it's really great. Sometimes I think maybe I'm in the wrong business and I should go into like stocks and bonds or do whatever that guy Barney on How I Met Your Mother does. But then there are days that I really love it, and it's really rewarding and fulfilling, and I get to work with people that are good and kind, and I get to work in a city that also has good and kind people. So that's me back in the day when I couldn't afford models. And that's my company logo. It's called Yellowcake. A lot of people ask why it's called Yellowcake. And, I get a lot of comments, like, oh, it's uranium, or oh, why is it not a bakery? And so there's a lot of different responses. But I started Yellowcake because I was an illustrator and graphic designer, actually, when I first moved here. I went to CIA, the Institute of Art, and I was working freelance for about a year in 2005, and I couldn't find a job. It was like the era of clip art and Office Max, and I decided to go back to school part-time to learn how to sew. I liked it a lot, but what they don't tell you is that you can only borrow a certain amount from the government before they cut you off. So I had to drop out. And lucky for me, there was some grants in Cleveland that I was eligible for. I worked really hard. I had some friends that are great photographers. I did a lot of babysitting for them, and they did some photos for me, and I got a little bit of money, saved a lot, ate a lot of peanut butter and jelly, didn't go to movies for a really long time, and was able to teach myself things I didn't know about fashion or sewing or draping. And then Project Runway happened, and that was unexpected. I used to have nightmares about being on the show because I wasn't really skilled yet. I'd only been sewing for maybe a year. And they found me online through a website I sold on. And so when I applied, I was like freaking out. I like almost like pooped my pants like 5 times on the way to the interview. But they liked me, so I went, and I did all right. For those of you that don't watch the show too, there's about 17 of us, and they eliminate us each. You guys see it each week, but for us it's every day. So every day we're creating something new. We have no access to music or television or magazines or anything. All you can do is eat, sleep, and sew. So it's really difficult to draw inspiration from what you have in your head. And sooner than later, your head gets filled with confused thoughts of what even looks good. Like, by the end of it, you're draping something and you're like, are stripes even cool anymore? Does this color go with it? You don't even know, because the judges' opinions are in your head, your teammates' opinions are in your head, Tim Gunn's opinions in your head, and you have no idea which direction to take. And you have like 5 hours to sew it, which typically to sew a custom garment start to finish takes about a week. So just like imagine it's like someone had a gun to your head and they're like, bake a cake now and make it awesome, and it's gonna be judged and you're gonna be humiliated on national television. So that was a lot of fun. But really, no, I always tell people that Project Runway is 80% real, 20% edited. And lucky for me, I was the character that they wanted to be, the funny girl that says quirky one-liners and is kind of nice. Like, I was a bitch sometimes, but they just didn't put that on camera because it didn't align with the character they wanted me to be. So I got lucky. The judging is quasi-real. This has to go off record for any of you bloggers. I would get in trouble. But yeah, the judging is quasi-scripted. They have earpieces. They deliberate for like 6 hours while we wait in a room and can't talk. So that's hard too. But it was equally fun and exciting, and it's something that I could tell my kids someday if I ever have any. And it's like locked in this vault that no one else can open. Like, it's part of my life, and I'm proud of it. So yeah, if you ever think about a reality show, though, seriously think about it, because it's not everything people think it is. I have a lot of designers that come to me asking if I can get them on the show, and sadly, the minute they're done with you, they spit you out. You know, it's kind of like, well, I don't want to be all pessimistic, but it's not unlike an old boyfriend that moves on to like the next, you know. They just kind of leave you to your own devices, and they call you when they need you. So I don't have any connections to Heidi Klum. I don't have, Michael Kors and I aren't best buds. I have Tim Gunn's cell phone number, but he never calls me. So he did on my birthday once, but I'm sure it was like his assistant. But yeah, so you know, before you go on a reality show, you have to really consider all the pros and cons. It's a lot of fun and it's exciting, but it can also be damaging. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. You will not blow up to insurmountable fame. I had Yellowcake before I went on the show. I was selling on Etsy, and I figured out what sold best, and I made things that I liked to make, and I set a good price point, and I worked really hard at being the best customer service representative I could be, and that's how I was able to build my business. Project Runway helped with that, but it by no means launched me into this fame that is like, you know, I don't know, I'm not a famous person. I just get recognized sometimes in obscure situations. But yeah, so the good part about reality television, or about doing something bold and exciting like Top Chef or Amazing Food Truck Race or any reality series, that I'm sure there's one for everything now. The good thing is that it does give you exposure. It does give you a launching pad. It does teach you a lot about yourself and about your skill and your industry. But it can also take you away from relationships. It can monopolize your time much more than you realize. And the aftermath can sometimes be damaging too, sometimes beyond repair. Before I agreed to speak here, Jeff said, hey, we really like for our speakers to like talk about their struggles because it makes them more human. And I was like, struggles? Oh my gosh, how much time do I have? One of my biggest struggles in being on Project Runway was the aftermath. I started dating a guy like right when I got back from filming. And we dated for, I would say, a year and a half, almost 2 years. And I thought we were going to get married. And it was a great relationship. I was probably the most in love I've ever been in my life. But I was also so busy that year, busier than I've ever been in my life. And I was doing 5 or 6 speaking engagements a week. I remember I was in 6 cities within 5 days. It was just nuts. It was a lot. And I was doing it all with good intentions to build my business so I could hire more people, so I could pay better wages, so I could take more interns, so I could keep things local and, go local. but I was killing myself, and my relationship was suffering, and I missed birthdays, and I didn't see my best friend for 6 months. And the family that has kind of become my Cleveland family, I kind of shrugged them off to focus on all these other important things that I thought were priority. And even though I didn't think it affected my personality or my character, it did. It made me more self-focused. It made me think that the world revolved around me, and it doesn't, obviously. This isn't helping my case any. I'm like on a stage in front of everyone. So I don't know if we lost signal here, but that's just me breakdancing. I just figured you guys might find that interesting or funny. But I don't do that anymore because I don't have health insurance, so I need these. They're my money makers. That was when I was in college. It was actually at CPT. My thesis was like this breakdance art thing. It was a lot of fun. And for all you graphic designers, Halloween at art school is like prom. And just in case you were falling asleep, who doesn't like a fist-pumping baby? So I'm gonna leave that up for now. I'm talking about really heavy stuff here. But yeah, Project Runway did kind of affect me personally. So as a result, I decided to go to counseling, just to kind of sort out my emotions and my feelings, because after Project Runway, after everything faded, after I was long forgotten about, once the new season's out, they forget about you. There's so many people that go on the show. I lost my best friend to cancer. She was like my mom. My parents and I stopped talking. One of my other best friends and I had a falling out because of money. And my boyfriend left me. So I was going through this time of just heavy sadness. And so I went to therapy for 2 years just to sort out all the junk inside me. And so I could learn how to be less self-focused and more selfless and more just kinder and more patient and more joyful, because Project Runway and all the busyness that came with it kind of convoluted everything that was inside me that was decent. I let that happen. And it's very easy, I think, for anyone, reality show or not, to let that happen. Your business sometimes can overcome you, and it becomes, like I said before, your child, but then there's nothing to hold or, raise up or, to see in the flesh, At the end of the day, I know I will always have my career. I will always have my hands and my skills. I think I hopefully will always have good ideas. But those things won't love you back. So it's been a good year of learning how to balance all of that. And I say that having just stayed up till 3 a.m. at the shop working on patterns for our big event we're having in November. So it is tricky. And I'm sure a lot of you know what it's like. To balance personal life with business life and try to have some semblance of a social life and stay healthy. And I, unfortunately, do not have any secrets for you. I don't know what to tell you of how to make it better or how it gets easier, because it doesn't. If anything, it gets harder. But if you love what you do, then it won't. People always say if you love what you do, you won't work a day in your life. And that's kind of bullshit. Because I love what I do, but I work every day. I just get to work at what I love. And sometimes it doesn't feel like work. And sometimes it feels great. And sometimes I really, really, really hate having to answer the same question for the 10th time in the same day. But that's what comes with the territory, So if you don't love it, don't do it. Don't be Tom Cruise in Cocktail and try to find your Flugelbinder. He should have just been a bartender from the beginning, opened up his own place, and he would have been happy with Elizabeth Shue. Am I right? So a couple of years ago, at one of the local restaurants, there was a sign up for a kid. A kid put up a sign that said, I want to start a bakery. I don't know anything about baking, but if you want to go in on starting a bakery with me, let me know. I need a baker, I need a place, and I need a business partner. And I'm thinking, yeah, that kid's going to get a lot of responses. So I had a guy come in my store the other day, and I always try really hard to be patient when people approach me about how to get their stuff produced, or if they want to start a clothing line, or a t-shirt line, or a jeans line. And so this kid came in and he said, yeah, who do I got to talk to start a clothing line? I said, well, Are you a designer? What do you do? And he's like, oh, I own fast food restaurant chains. I got plenty of money. I just need someone to make my stuff. I want to get in Macy's and Kmart. And I was like, well, I don't sell to Macy's and Kmart, so I don't. That's not my world. I don't know that part of the industry. And he's like, well, I don't need that. I just need someone to sew my stuff. And I was like, do you know how to design? Like, do you have like any idea? And he's like, no, I just know that I want to make stuff and I want to sell. I want to make lots of money. And I was like, well, let me stop you right there, bud. I was like, if you don't love what you're doing and you don't know much about the industry, then it's an uphill battle. And I was trying to be really not be a bitch. And I was like, listen, maybe you could there's a local school here that you could take a few classes, you could buy some books, you can look online, go to this blog. I was trying to give him all these resources. But he's like, no, I got all this money, I have this fast food restaurant, and I want to start a clothing line. And I'm like, dude, if you have a fast food restaurant that's working for you, why mess with that, And he was just so hell-bent on starting this clothing line. And so I was like, all right, I can give you the name of this guy that's in Chicago that might be able to help you out, but beyond that, I don't know what to do. I was like, good luck. If you don't love it, though, it's a lot of work. And so I felt sorry for the guy going out, and I really hope he didn't go and drop $15,000 on some contractor that was promising him all these samples and all these deals, because it just doesn't exist. Unless you're Diane von Furstenberg and you're a princess from Geneva and you have a lot of money, starting a fashion label is not easy. 97% of fashion businesses fail in their first year. That means only 3% succeed. And by success, does that mean that they're paying their bills, or does that mean that they're making a profit? Who knows? Lucky for us, we've been in business since 2008. We've had a brick and mortar since 2011. And we haven't turned the lights off yet, so I'm chalking that up as a success. I have no idea if we're in the black yet, but every year we can hire a new person, we can buy a new machine, we can get a better toilet. So that's my litmus test right now. But yeah, the moral of the story is that if you don't love what you do, like I said, don't be like Tom Cruise. There's no Flugelbinder out there. Unless you want to be a Flugelbinder inventor, then by all means do it. It's like your mom's probably all told you, if you're going to be the water boy and you can't be, one of the players, be the best damn water boy you can be. So that's also something I learned from my dad. So one of the other pieces of advice I could give you, aside from any secret tips of how to succeed and how to, get rich and how to get out of this financial hole or how to clear your debt, or what women really want, is surrounding yourself with good people. And I've been really lucky and fortunate and blessed to have good people around me. These are some of my interns from a few years ago. Being one of maybe 2 fashion designers that live and work full-time in Cleveland is kind of nice because interns always find us. So the hard part is just vetting the slackers from the good ones. But yeah, I've got good interns. I'm able to teach some of them, and a lot of them sometimes, come to me with relationship problems, or if their parents are getting divorced, or if they're not sure what college to go to, or where their life is headed. And I love being able to feel needed by them, and they feel needed by me. And it's a great dynamic. And I'm really thankful and lucky because, I love what I do, but my biggest goal is to be a mom someday and have a family. And so my interns are kind of like my family, and they're like my kids. So if they have a boyfriend, I meet all of them. I ask them all questions. I embarrass the hell out of them. Sometimes there is failure, and you have to be okay with that. This was for a video promo that a friend of mine and I shot for a concept we had a couple years ago called Buzz and Growl. It was a sewing incubator / workspace we tried to start. And it took off. It was super successful at the beginning. It seemed like everything was promising. We raised the money on Kickstarter. We tried structuring it as a nonprofit, and it just failed. We weren't getting any money. I was spending like $1,200 a month on this space that we weren't using yet. It was running me ragged, and it just didn't work. And it's hard sometimes when those things happen, especially if you've got people that are depending on you and looking to you for direction. But you have to be okay with that. You can't please everyone. And I'm sure there are a lot of you in here that are people pleasers like myself, but you cannot please everyone. You will kill yourself trying. So I loved this time in my life, and it seemed really exciting and promising, but it just did not work. And maybe at a later time, Maybe I'll marry a rich doctor and he'll help me fund it. Maybe I'll win the lottery. I don't even play the lotto, so I guess that won't happen. But maybe I might. So yeah, there's that too. These are just some random shots from my studio that I used to have downtown, and it just reminds me of how beautiful Cleveland is. And that's also something that I could also advise you on. I have a lot of castmates from Project Runway that live in California, that live in New York, that live in bigger cities. And there are times when I do get jealous and I do get bummed out that they're dressing celebrities and that they attend all these events that I can't attend. But I have a lot of space for a little bit of money, and I've been able to grow my business with really great people. I've been able to provide jobs for people that I know need it. And I've been able to have some sort of a healthy lifestyle, while doing it. And I'm sure they're happy too, but I know some of them are struggling just to make rent, and they're kind of trying to keep up with the status quo and the Joneses, because that's their world. And every year some of the contestants get asked to go to Fashion Week in New York to view the finale collection of the current season. And I love going, because every time we go, everyone's sizing everybody up. And I always come back feeling really bad about myself. And then I come back to Cleveland, and I'm so glad to be back here, because here are where people understand what I do. And in New York, as much as it's exciting and interesting and fun and creative and loud, sometimes they just don't get it. Sometimes you're only as good as your next best effort. And that's not what I'm about. And hopefully, based on this conference and what people here have been talking about, that's not what any of us are about either. My favorite time is when the shop is closed and all the lights are off at my tertial lamps, and I have Spotify on or some other loud radio station, and I can just work. And for those of you who have seen Chariots of Fire, there's a part when the main character says, yes, but God also made me fast, and when I run, I feel his pleasure. And so there are days when I'm like, man, I really wish I was like making more money, and I really wish I could go out like regular people and enjoy happy hour. And I really wish I could just sleep in. But when I'm working really late and it's just me and my machines and my music, that's when I feel God's pleasure. And so hopefully there's something inside you, whether it's God or Allah or Buddha or whoever, whatever you believe in, whatever you don't believe in, if there's something in the pit of your stomach or in the deepest part of your heart that you feel pleasure and enjoyment from doing what you do, then that's what you should be doing. And that's what you're meant and created to do. So when I talked about surrounding yourself with good people, if it's only too sad that you can't meet this woman. She is one of the greatest people I've ever known. And she was my champion. Hopefully you each get your own champion someday, whether it be your spouse or your mother or your sister. And my family, they're great, but they're very far away, and they don't quite understand what I do. And they're kind of conservative and wrapped up in things that don't allow them to be a part of my life. But this woman was my life for 7 years, and so gracious and so kind and so forgiving and so lovely and so wise. And she died last October from PMP abdominal cancer. And she had that for about 5 years. So I saw every struggle, every joy, every up and down, every fundraiser. But regardless of how much pain she was in, she was always there for me, always asking me about relationships, always making me a birthday cake, always coming to my pop-up shops, always supporting me. And I'm really thankful for her and for their family. And so that's probably the biggest tip I can give you guys, is surrounding yourself with the kindest people and the best people you know, and doing everything you can to invest in them the way they invest in you. These are her children. She has 8 kids. And they're the most unassuming people. I never thought I would call this family my family. They're just an Irish Catholic family in Independence. They don't like tattoos or piercings. They don't like abnormal kid names. They They don't like a lot of things, but they love people. They eat Cheez-It chicken, and they they do weird things for holidays that my family doesn't do, and they're just the most normal, conservative white people you'll ever meet. But they are so good, and they're so kind, and they have raised their children to be the kindest people I know. And that's the core of my heart and what I love to do and why I do what I do. And she believed in me so much to give of herself, and so that's why I keep going every day.